Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Nuance. Thank you so much for the support. Hope you all are doing great. There has been this discourse going around TikTok about Beyonce, South African culture, Black culture also. So I remember I brought a video to you. I'll put a picture so you all will know the people are the person I'm talking about. At first, I did not know she has something to do with Black. I actually called her a white woman from the first video that I made. But I am going to say this. I saw some Black content creators going back and forth, fighting a Black woman for calling her out over her saying that, talking about Black culture without knowing, having knowledge of it. And she also said that she does not know anything about Southern culture. So many Black content creators jumped out to defend her. And then we're attacking the Black woman who said the truth about her saying, how do you speak on something you know nothing about? Because everybody do not understand how you speak on something you don't know about. Now, I am going to say this to some Black content creators. You all suck. I said what I said. And I am not bringing your faces here. Why? Because it's 2025 and there are some things that I have outgrown. And I do not want to probably bring people's pictures or videos for people to go and probably go to the comment section and all that. But all I am telling you guys that you all can do better. I saw majority of you sharing, defending her for no reason, and then attacking the Black woman that said the truth. You all suck. Let's get into this video.
White women were rarely or passively involved in the slave trade, and the question was always, how many white women was it? Well, a student this year decided to answer that question. A student from Ohio State University paired up with a professor, did research, and found the numbers, and we'll get to that in a second. But also, the person that wrote this article, a journalist, decided to do some more research on their own, and they found that a group of Catholic nuns who were praised for decades for helping to educate Black children were actually not even educating them and were selling them to pay off debts and expand their school. Let's get started and learn something new. So Professor Trevor D. Logan and the student Benton Wishart did some research from just 1856 to 1861, just in 5 years, and they found that white women engaged in nearly a third of the sales and purchases of enslaved people in New Orleans, which was home to the nation's largest slave market at the time. I also found that in New Orleans between 1856 and 1861, white women participated in nearly 40% of the transactions involving Black women. I decided to take it to the 1830s, and remember, this is just New Orleans only. White women accounted for about 16% of the purchases and sales of enslaved Black people in New Orleans. They also found another analysis of runaway slave advertisements between 1853 and 1860, which were compiled by a Black abolitionist, that found that white women were listed as owners more than 10% of the time. Now, Professor Logan and the student Benton fully credit Stephanie E. Jones-Rogers in her extensive research. She's an historian at the University of California, and she wrote the book, They Were Her Property, and released it in 2019. And she is fully thanking them for finally getting the numbers, because every time she had to talk about this book, people always question, well, was it that many? How many white women was it? And now we're going to get to the nuns who sold these children. Now, the nuns were called the Georgetown Visitation Sisters, and they founded the Georgetown Visitation Preparatory School in Washington, D.C., one of the nation's oldest Roman Catholic girls' schools. For more than a decade, its founders were hailed on the school's website for running a free institution and for their generosity of spirit for teaching enslaved girls. But several years ago, the school's archivist and historian began digging in the archives. She found no evidence that the nuns had taught enslaved children to read or write. Instead, she discovered that the sisters had enslaved at least 107 Black men, women, and children. And in a report released in 2018, the school reported that the sisters sold dozens of those people to pay debts to help finance the expansion of their school and the construction of a new chapel. In fact, nearly all of the orders of Catholic sisters established by the late 1820s enslaved people. Nothing else to do than to dispose of the family of Negroes. Mother Agnes Brent, the superior of the Georgetown Visitation Sisters, wrote in 1821 as she approved the sale of a couple and their 2 young children. The enslaved woman was just days away from giving birth to her 3rd child. Of course, we're not shocked by any of these numbers, but one of the historians said it's good to actually have numbers. They help us to attach something resembling specifics to what we're actually talking about. And this last paragraph sums up the last month. Dr. Jones-Rogers believes the research also also helps to explain why many white Southern women romanticized slavery and supported the system of racial segregation that emerged after the Civil War and now, a system that helped ensure that their families could continue to benefit from a plentiful supply of low-cost Black labor. They choose white supremacy because they see it as economically advantageous. I hope you learned something new.
Using white tactics in a conversation about Black culture and then being upset when somebody calls out the elephant in the room, your white mama, is actually kind of insane. Making a bold statement about Black Southern culture and Black patriotism and then turning around and saying that you weren't fully informed on the history of Black Southern culture and how it came to be, but then also demanding that people handle you with care is giving white fragility. It's very much giving white tears. And I'm going to hold everybody's hand when I say this, but if you come on the internet and you critique or say something about Black culture and you're not informed, you need to be prepared to take whatever response comes in your direction. And it doesn't have to be done gently or in a way that you believe is fair and right, because it's also not fair for you to speak on something that you're not fully informed on that is also not a part of your identity. Google is absolutely free. And also to make a video where you acknowledge that you may have misspoken or you didn't have all the details, and then to thank people who you think handled you gently in a way that felt passive aggressive to the folks who called you out, is another tactic of whiteness. And then to be upset because people are talking about your white mama is kind of weird. It's a little weird. And to all the Black content creators who have been defending her endlessly for the past few days now, I'm asking y'all this question genuinely. Why do y'all feel like you have to go this hard to protect her? Black people receive backlash every day on social media for speaking on topics like this. What makes her so fragile that she cannot withstand the same backlash that we've all dealt with at some point? And I'm going to say this as nicely as I can. But maybe y'all are not as against colorism as you think you are, because that is why you're running to her defense. This happens to dark-skinned Black content creators every day, and y'all do not get on this app turning into freedom fighters. I'm sorry to have to be the one to tell you.
The Negro liberals and the Black leftists have lost the plot. Media literacy, critical thinking, and comprehension are not things that people inherently have. Those are things that you learn or things that you gain as you continue to process information, gain knowledge, and have education. With that being said, please do not allow people to come online and gaslight you about the intended use behind words that they use, especially when we all live in this earth, and especially if you're a millennial, you were born during the time after the Cold War. And that's relevant because the connotation behind the word propaganda is usually misinformation and negative things that are trying to influence your thoughts in a way that benefits the nation that is using said propaganda. There's been video after video of people and their think pieces that are just so brilliant and using word vomit, and they're just saying a bunch of nothing.
Let's talk about the ephemeral to the eternal and disinhibition online, especially.
We do ourselves a huge disservice thinking that this conversation is still a critique of Beyonce. And it is insane that this conversation is still going on. But for several reasons, I think it's a great conversation because we as Black people need to discuss topics amongst each other to, one, realize that every Black experience is different. Two, that we don't all agree how to identify as being Black in this country. And three, that all of us don't have the ability to comprehend what we're saying to each other off face value. One thing I will say is that defending someone who, based on their content, has anti-Blackness in them because of lack of fully understanding what it means to be Black in America, how many ways people can be Black culturally, ethnically, and how we identify with that culture, whether it's through art, whether it's through inventions, whether it's through symbolism, whether it's through customs. I have a problem with that because all of these people that are defending something that I personally believe was out of pocket, and personally believe she doesn't have a grasp on the very ethos of what it means to be Black in the country we're from, through a very narrow-minded lens without having space for the nuance they're requesting that we all have, is problematic.
particularly for me as a mixed person, it certainly doesn't make me want to be proud. And if you want to feel pride, go right ahead. But I would urge you to think about how that pride can be weaponized into something harmful.
The inability of people to hold more than one idea in their head, whether they're extreme liberals, extreme left, extreme right, is the reason that this discourse is happening. Because being Black is one of the most complex, nuanced identities that we could have on Earth, based off of our history and based off of where we're from. So when people are having these discussions and they don't have the ability to hold space for nuance and historical context, it really makes the conversation null and void. Trying to dogpile on a Black woman for saying what she said, which was correct, and defending another woman who is not holding space for what it actually means to be Black and how that actually is a complicated, complex thing in this country, then you are not adding to the discourse. You're actually making noise online. I feel like people are inherently too woke to process what they're doing and what they're saying online, because you can absolutely critique America. You can absolutely hate things that America does, but you can't hate it so much that you are not allowing people to identify in the place of their ancestors, that they built their culture and they built their lineage through a fucking vacuum in the microcosm that is America. We are the descendants of formerly enslaved Africans in America, and this country would not exist without us, and we would not exist without it. So you can absolutely hold the light up to what America does, but you cannot tell Black people it's all or nothing. You have to hate America, and you can't benefit from the flag. You can't identify as American. That's just not how it works. And life is complex and life is beautiful because of that. And we need to be able to understand that two things can be true, and people don't have to agree with the way you identify and the way you feel about something. And you can't start a conversation and then not actually add to the discourse by continually adding more and more myopic views of America and wanting us to agree that we can't claim this country. Stay blessed.
And I say this with all due respect. Dear Black women, demand more and then double down and add tax. I just finished watching Tyler Perry's 688, and I was reminded of the unseen, the unheard, the unlifted work of Black women. And I'm reminded of the Black women who poured and pour into me. I'm reminded of all of the times that I've seen humanity at its best. I'm reminded of all the times that God showed up as a Black woman. I'm reminded that even if we give them every single thing we got, it's not enough. And so as we continue to battle white delusion and patriarchy, I am sending a charge to my sisters to say demand more and then double down, because even if they give you what you ask for, it's still not enough.
You know, I think that they don't like to see Black women happy and excited about anything, period. They like to see Black women miserable, and they will do everything to keep Black women in a state of unhappiness, like they get off on that shit. I mean, let's just look at the last 6 months, right? Just the last couple of weeks, right? You had Blue Ivy on the red carpet at the premiere of the Mufasa movie. And Black women were excited and happy to see her because we've been watching this young girl grow into the young lady that she is now. She looked beautiful, but the others couldn't wait to shit all over Blue Ivy. And then, of course, her mom performs at that football game the other day. Black women were collectively excited about her performance, happy about the performance. And then the others had to come on in and shit all over Beyonce in the performance, knowing that it was going to piss off black women. Hell, Meghan Markle doesn't bother anybody. And it came out the other day that she's got some new program. I think it's on Netflix. I don't know. She's got some new project, and black women were excited for her and being loud in support of her. And then here come the others shitting on Meghan Markle. Hell, Kamala Harris, black women were ecstatic. Black women were so excited. Black women were happy because of the representation, right? Not only she was more than qualified, but the representation, what she stood for. She was one of us. Black women galvanized happily. And then what happened? Here come the others, shitting all over her, attacking her. And they succeeded in keeping her out of the White House. They get off on the misery of black women. They do not like to see black women happy and excited. I mean, just look at any black woman loving herself, enjoying life, sharing her life on social media. You'll have so many of the others down in the comment section shitting all over her. For what reason? Nothing other than she's black. They hate to see black women successful, happy, excited, ecstatic. All they want is for black women to be their mules, their miserable mules. Black women, as long as they're miserable and unhappy, there's someone beneath them. And they get off on that shit. And a lot of people really need to seek therapy and unpack that.
The way that scientific racism is spinning the block right now, and people are being convinced to sharpen weapons that will be used against them very shortly, is so scary. If you have not read Racism, A Short History by George M. Fredrickson, I would encourage you to read that book, just as a starting point to understand what's going on right now, and to understand how wily and adaptable racism as an ideology is. The entire country across demographics is hurtling to the right when it comes to how we frame conversations and the ideologies we're using to justify the things we're talking about. It is very scary, and to me, it's an indication that racism is about to evolve/mutate, being the virus that it is once again. When religion lost its legitimacy as the justification for anti-black racism and racism on the whole evolved, it changed to scientific racism. And when early forms of scientific racism like phrenology lost their legitimacy, it evolved once again to other forms of scientific racism. And I guess what I'm trying to say is racism has a pop culture function. It's not just about what is seen as true in the moment. It's about what resonates with the culture. So for a time, it was religion. During the Enlightenment period, it was like these early bubblings of scientific racism. And then in the 20th century, it was all about family dynamics and all these other stuff. But I'm saying, like, coming out of this multicultural, even though it was only on an aesthetic level largely, multicultural and diversity-driven era, I feel like racism that is justified by all sides scientifically speaks to our current cultural moment. Like the way we're allowing figures like Dr. Umar to slip in the most dangerous conservative ideology into what they're talking about, and we're accepting it now, whereas previously it was like, all right, it's a joke, and then like, oh, a broke clock's right twice a day, and now people are just full sale buying everything he says. Like, it's a dangerous mix. If you can't pick the bones out of fish, you should not eat red snapper, and that's a red snapper situation. That's not to say red snapper isn't good. Like, I grew up in this environment. My uncle learned directly from like Dr. Ben, like John Henry Clark, Francis Westling. These people hung out at my grandma's house. I've been around Dr. Umar himself. Not everything that these people say hits, like, just frankly. And a lot of it is dangerous, especially in our current political moment. It is so in line with what the far right is saying, and people don't even see it. It's just, I woke up in the middle of the night because it all just kind of hit me all of a sudden. Maybe because tomorrow is January 6th, but like, this shit is scary, bro. This shit is really, really scary. And that's why I left that video up about humor, because I don't think we understand how dangerous and powerful humor is, for good and for bad. Humor is how you slip a pill that's hard to swallow into the zeitgeist. And we're seeing that happen right now in real time. Like, we are literally braiding the rope that is going to be used to do terrible things to us right now. That's how I feel, and it's scary. It feels like manufactured consent for racism because in the end, only certain people will be materially hurt by the fact that everyone is being convinced to buy into some version of race science that makes them feel better, or that, you know, whatever purpose it serves, everyone's buying into it. But it's only the intersection of material power with this ideology that will result in people being hurt. So it's like we're normalizing it, and that's the danger.
I'll tell you something. Black people don't need to go Google shit. Y'all go Google some shit. And if you follow me, you've been on this motherfucking page, you know that everything that comes out of my mouth is from a black perspective. Unapologetically. Unfucking apologetically. And I said what the fuck I said. Yeah, this shit that y'all are pulling right now is high-key fucking anti-blackness. There are 724 fucking billionaires in this country. You know how many of them are black? 7 of them. This ain't our motherfucking problem. It's the problem of greedy European Americans. But y'all don't want to deal with these fucking European Americans for the exact same reason men don't want to deal with men. You're afraid of them. You are fucking afraid of these European American billionaires because you know their capability and their propensity to do.
So this is all I have for this video, and I am going to start with something, and that is with all this discourse that happened within some days about a biracial woman that, for me, I won't lie to anybody, I did not know at first that she is biracial. To me, I called her a white woman, right? And I probably may not see the black features, which I am going to keep aside, right? Now, you do not understand black culture and Southern culture, right? And you jump into something you do not understand and ended up calling it propaganda, right? Which is okay. Now, I am going to say this. Google is free. If there is anything you do not understand, you absolutely can come out, check it out, and then probably make corrections or talk about it. But then you jumped on something you know nothing about, and then started attacking people that look like me for no reason. Then at some point, we absolutely found out that she is a Taylor Swift fan, which I do not have a problem with. People can decide who they will choose to like and all that. But you do not like somebody and you want to talk about the person. Now I am going to leave that aside. So I am going to say shame on all the black content creators. I saw every one of you. I decided personally not to bring you people's videos here. Why? Because I do not want divide. That is why I did not bring you all's videos here. And for the people that I also saw sharing or reposting your videos, I also know every one of you, and I absolutely decided not to talk about it. Why? Because I am not an agent of division, and that is something that I am going to stick on board. Something that I want to tell some black content creators is that you all are hypocrites. I said what I said. You can fight me. I don't care. You can fight me in the comment section. None of my business. Shame on you all. Why am I saying shame on you all? You all are so quick to bring in somebody from another community that lied about a black woman. Because the black woman that see, I am going to put her pictures, and I hope I remember it in the comment, so I can put up her pictures. So you will see the beautiful black woman, how the whole story started. The biracial woman posted a video, and a black woman debunked that, saying, how dare you talk about something you know nothing about? And then some black content creators started defending the biracial woman, the white woman, because they think she is fragile. Now, the person that you think is fragile, the heat people was about to give her was also the heat black people have been getting all their lives. But you all think the black woman is not good enough to protect, but the other one is good enough to protect. You all suck. You heard me right. I don't care. Including some of you all that are gays. I do not have problem with gays. But I know so far from the beginning till the most of the rights you all are enjoying came from black women. I said what I said. You can also fight me in the comment section. None of my business. Some of you are the problems black communities are having. And I am going to say the way it is. It might offend some people that I am coming at black comment correct, and it's okay. But I have to say it. Because when you all start doing some kind of things that you do that bring division, or the kind of energy you bring that gives another bad woman bad energy, because all eyes and all mouth were on that black woman. Why? Because she said the truth. Now, there is something that I have known about myself. When something is not true, I would absolutely say the way it is, that this is not right and this is right. But what I'm going to say is the white woman or the biracial woman or whatever you call it, I don't care where she's coming from. But you ought to stop supporting evil, because there is no need doing that. I have brought this video, for how many days this video has lingered and all that. So many people defending, going back and forth and all that. It's okay to defend somebody that got nothing to do with your community, that cannot even stand with your own community, that know nothing about your community, and then your own person from your own community that has been fighting tooth and nail all this while, you all are throwing her under the bus because she said the truth, and you all think she has no right to speak on what she said because the other one is also a black. How is she a black person? How is she? What makes her a black person when she doesn't even know black culture? So what are you people saying? What are you people talking about? You all can really do better. Because when I start saying things like this, that you all will leave your own community to protect another person. Who does that? Who does that? You all can get it all right. It's 2025. And I am not in the mood for going back and forth with anybody. I will start putting you people's faces so people will know exactly. Bye for now.